I was telling you before we recorded that you have security at your talks, and I want to ask you what that's like. And halfway through the talk, my wife suggested that I run up and hug that dude with the mustache to see if he would tase me or what would happen.
His bark is much worse than his
What
bite.
would have happened, though, if I had have gotten up and tried to hug him?
He would have killed you.
Yes.
Yeah. So the bite is bad too. I'm not, but the bark is just especially bad.
Especially
Yes.
bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did you start traveling with security, and what was that like? What is that?
Well, I love our security agents, so it's a great pleasure to do it, and we go out and have cigars and have a great time. But I think it's mostly unnecessary.
It
Because
looks cool, though.
it looks very cool. I look much more important than I am, and but I think it's mostly unnecessary because, Matt, I'm so lovable. Who would want to attack me?
I don't know.
Right? Who would?
Yeah.
And the other reason it's unnecessary in certain places is we're at Franciscan University. The biggest threat that
The
I'm going
biggest
to
threat
have
is
going to be
probably single girls who are going to want to hold you and not let go.
I was assuming it'd be some sort of stray Jesuit,
yeah, well,
gets
that
in there
too,
and
yeah.
starts to attack me or something. But I was attacked once at a speech. This is when it all started.
Yeah.
I was giving a speech at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. This was years ago, and the speech was called "Men Are Not Women." I'm going to sue Matt Walsh for copyright infringement,
Good, yes.
intellectual property theft. But this was probably 5 years ago or so, and there was an organized protest. The kids were very raucous, but because I had written my speech down, it didn't matter. They were screaming like banshees in the room, which you can't really hear on the tape, but I could just read the speech. At a certain point, they gave up and went out, but someone tripped a fire door, and I guess they had planned some stunt, and a guy comes in with a super soaker filled with who knows what.
Yeah, did you say? I remember this now. It smelled like bleach or
So
something.
in the room, the people organizing the event thought it was bleach, and so the cops obviously cops were involved. I don't think it ended up being bleach. It did smell like bleach. Then there were rumors that there were all sorts of fluids in it that no one wants to think about. It was not a cocktail that one would enjoy.
No.
But as a result of that, now we travel with security everywhere.
Is that like a Daily Wire kind of mandate for all speakers when they go out?
Yeah, it's a total mandate. And so, but it can be somewhat embarrassing, though, because I for almost 3 years, I hosted a podcast with Ted Cruz. And Ted Cruz is a very serious guy, prominent senator, presidential candidate. One time, he and I were at an event, and the senator's deputy chief of staff turns to me and goes, "Michael, is that your detail?" There's this army of special operators. And I said, yeah. I said, "Why do you have a bigger detail than the senator who gets the real threats?" And I thought that's, but Daily Wire takes it very seriously, which I guess is good. If I'm gonna get popped off, I want to make sure that it's not frivolous. I want it to be a real political attack.
Go out in flames. So I would imagine all of this kind of excitement and protest surrounding your events, and you as an individual, is really good for business, right? I think it was Shapiro quoted somebody who's saying, "Whatever doesn't kill you makes you more famous."
That's right. That's right.
So, what's it like having to live that life? And it's kind of like the scandal surrounding you brings you to the surface again, as far as clicks and popularity and.
Well, so there's a lot of truth to that. If people go out and have a big protest, it obviously calls more attention to your events. So, when that's happened, those are the speeches that get viewed the most. But you've got to be really careful not to chase that. Because if you chase that, then really you just become a performance artist. And I don't think that's particularly good for the soul. And I don't think it's good for your career in the long run. I mean, then I won't name names. In years past, so there have been plenty of people on the left and the right who have done that. And they really sort of flame out.
And that's what I was gonna say. That must be exhausting.
It's got to be,
live that up, keep that up. Yeah.
Yeah, and also then you're so tempted to do and say things that you might not even believe just to get a reaction.
Yeah.
And so I consider myself one of the least own the libsy kind of conservatives out there. It's kind of funny because I did this joke book that was just 100% owning the libs. But I try not to do that. I mean, I probably spend half my time or more criticizing the conservatives for being incoherent and cowardly than I spend making fun of AOC or something like that.
Thanks so much for watching. Please like if you liked, and if you loved, subscribe.